Good afternoon, my beautiful friends. Welcome to episode, I think it's 44 of Inside the Wrongful Conviction of Daniel Holtzclaw. I say I think because I was trying to, when I was doing the thumbnail, I have them all lined number 1 all the way through 44, but I was putting 45 and it looks like somewhere around episode 40 I misnumbered them. So I'll go back and change those thumbnails later, but it doesn't matter right now. But anyway, welcome to episode 44 of Inside the Wrongful Conviction of Daniel Holtzclaw. And I believe today, at the end of this video, this will be my 200th video on my channel. I'm pretty freaking excited about that. Cherie, go ahead.
I said, wow. Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah, that's I mean, you know, we've had the channel since, oh gosh, I think it was September of 2020. 2020. Yeah, I think 2020 or 2020. This is going to be a fun discussion today because clearly my mind and my mouth are not working in the right capacities. But at any rate, so 2020 when we started, and I've taken a lot of time off, you know, in that almost 5-year period, and so, you know, if I had done a video every week like I really wanted to, you know, we'd have a lot more than 200, but 200 is a big deal to me. So there's been a lot of exciting things happening with our channel, Cherie, in the last month or so. So I think we have a lot to be proud of. What do you think?
Definitely. It's hard to believe it's been that many and that long, but it has been. And here we are.
Yeah. Here we are. And it's improved. We've improved the channel. We've improved the content since 2020, or, you know, when we began, but we're still improving. Like when we complete the rest of these trial transcripts, the rest of these accusers, I'm going to kind of start over again in a sense that, you know, when we first started reading the trial transcripts, we weren't able to get like all the witness testimony for each individual accuser's case. And so we're going to redo it all eventually in time. Right now, we're following Brian Bates' timeline, but it's way different than the trial timeline as far as when accusers' cases were called and they testified to them. So when we get finished with this series, we're gonna I think it's only logical for me that we start over again, and you know, I'll streamline everything a lot differently and a lot better and in order of the way things occurred in the trial. My hope is that before we can do any of that, Daniel will have some freedom, and you know, he'll be able to listen back to all of the beginning stuff and, you know, kind of wonder like, how the hell did they do this? We also have reached, I believe, 714 subscribers. It's taken us all this time to get to that many subscribers, which is like an incredibly small channel, but that's okay. I'm not trying to. The only reason I need subscribers and people paying attention is because we need people to pay attention to Daniel's case, right? So all that said, I apologize. I am so squirrely all the time, but Cherie, you've been very, very busy this week. I want to introduce the panel here. Cherie's been very busy this week. We haven't had any contact at all until yesterday. So tell us about your busy week, Cherie.
Oh, just I had a trial Thursday, and we won, yay! And and just some family stuff going on. I had to help deal with. And so just the things we all deal with.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I definitely deal with it all the time, um, and I rarely remember to reach out to you, to my friends, to make sure that things are going okay in their own lives, and so I apologize for that. But I'm glad you won your trial. That's freaking amazing. So
Me
um,
too.
yeah, yeah. Sharice, I don't know how well, what is your Esquire
It's
title? If
under,
that's
I'm a staff attorney at Legal Aid Society in Northeastern New York, and my homelessness prevention is the grant I'm under. So
Rough area of the country to be a lawyer in.
what'd
yeah,
you say?
yeah. She's in upstate. Yeah, your volume's very, very low, Rick.
Said rough area of the country to be a lawyer in.
Yeah,
Well, she's in
I'm
upstate New York, so
about a half
Yeah,
hour from Canada.
the number of changes that they make to the law in New York so often, it's got to be a pain to try to keep up on everything.
Yeah, it can be.
yeah. I feel like. Well, first let me say hello to Rick. Rick, good afternoon. How are you doing, my brother?
Doing good. Doing good, sweetheart.
Good, good, good. Um, so yeah, I hopefully when your specific practice is something like what did you say, homeless prevention. I In my layman terms, that's landlord tenant law, I believe. Is that kind of correct, Cherie?
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, when people are getting evicted. And, we don't just say, somebody come in, I don't want to pay my rent. Can you help me still live there? We don't do that. But
Right,
if there's legally, there are problems with the eviction. That's what we deal with. Not just people
right.
that don't want to pay rent, which is what a lot of people think I run into.
Yeah, they come into your office. Hey, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Okay, well, great. So I want to say hello to everyone in the chat really quick, and make sure that you guys. I want my goal doing a live stream is making sure my chat knows I am uh, watching your comments the very best I can, and I want you to know that I'm we're here, and we love you. We are so grateful for all of you, and your comments are important to us. So we'll try to catch them. Cherie is a team member, or however they call it, on my StreamYard. I need to work with her so that she can get into the StreamYard, and she can start starring questions or comments for me, that I can then, at the end of the show, at the end of the live stream, go back and uh, address. Because if I can't always do it at the moment that I see those comments or questions pop up, but I want you to know that I am interested in them and I want to address them, or comment back about them. So I'll work with Cherie, maybe this week, hopefully, and I can teach her how to get into StreamYard so that she can help me do that. Um, at any rate, Jennifer, my love, she does reading for a lot of she's doing reading every week now for this content for transcripts. So yes, this will be fabulous. I'm excited to have you here. This is not me. I don't know how. I am saying hi, but I don't know how it happened. But somehow that's Cherie, uh, on my YouTube account. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I love her anyway, and I love you, Jennifer. Doesn't matter who's saying it. And Rick is saying hello to everybody. Thank you, Rick. Jennifer says, please pray for my mom. An ambulance took her to the hospital this morning. We're still waiting for results on why she fell. She has edema in her legs, and she complained about her breathing last night. Jennifer, of course. Oh, I just got chills. Of course, I'm praying for your mom and for you. It's not easy being the child of a parent who is ill, especially when you don't know what is going on. So, of course, our prayers are with you, and I hope you can feel my arms around you, hugging you right now, sister. And let's see. Just on. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate so much your support and your comments. I'm so glad to have you. Marlene, hello, mods and friends. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you checking us out and seeing what's going on. Um, let's see. Lots of hellos to each other. You guys are awesome. Just Dawn says, congratulations, sister. Thank you. I feel like this last, probably this last 6 weeks, I feel the most successful with the channel than I think I ever have. I, I don't know how Cherie feels. Cherie's been with me from the very beginning. It's not my channel. It says just Rhonda, but it's mine and Cherie's channel. Cherie and I do this together. And Cherie is my rock, my memory, my everything. So yes, again, I'm squirreling, but thank you so much. I appreciate your support and your love, just on. And Nan's Life, I always love to see Nan's Life in the chat. We love you, Nan's Life. We appreciate so much your support of Daniel's case as well. And let's see. K Bean has popped in. Hello, K Bean, to say hello. Um, uh, so happy to have you here, K Bean. K Bean has an incredibly impressive and intense, I think is the word I will have to use, background in all sorts of public service. I'm not going to give away any of her info or those things to her. If she wants to drop things in the chat, she can do that. But I'm not gonna do that for her. But um, she brings also a wealth of knowledge and uh, help, support, and encouragement for me. And we love K Bean. Um, she told me it's 715 subs. Thank you for showing me that, K Bean. And Elf, hey Elf, I'm so happy to see you. You set your calendar, or at least your clock, for today, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Some of these, some of you who are, showing up here consistently, um, and taking an interest in, first, I think, supporting our channel. I feel like that's where this all started, which is phenomenal, and we are so blessed. But also, I think that a lot of you now have, the more you've listened to, the more intrigued, I think, and hope that you've become. So thank you so much for being here. And most of you right now have kind of come into the we're about 3/4 of the way through, I would say, this, maybe 2/3, 3/4 through this series. But so a lot of the things that we're saying, you're probably like, what the fuck is it? What is going? This is crazy. Trust me, even when you start at the beginning, I think you get that feeling and idea that, yeah, this is crazy. This case is crazy. So, stick with us. Go back and listen to things that you haven't heard, or if you feel like you want to start over. Inside the Wrongful Conviction with Daniel Holtzclaw began almost a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. And so I've tried to number those properly or in a sequential way as far as the content, as Brian Bates did it in his podcast. So you can hopefully follow, catch up that way if you'd like. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Allergies. I don't know what I'm allergic to that's going on right now, but it's making me cranky. K Bean, just Rhonda, if you're in Orem, where Shopco used to be on Center Street, go to the King Buffet next to Smith. It's awesome and has hot Asian waiters. I was blown away. Okay, I will do that, K Bean. You know what? I haven't been out to dinner in a long time. But yeah, I'll check it out for sure. Maybe someday you and I can meet up and you know, have admire the hot Asian waiters together, both being single women, or I think I know I am. So it's always fun to look. You know, see what happens. Thanks for that recommendation. I'm going to check it out this week, K Bean. I really am. Freaking hot Asian waiters. WTF? Yeah, I'm curious now. I'm going to plan a night. That's funny. Let's see. This is not me. This, I'm guessing, is... Oh, yep, she says that. There will be 2 just Rhondas today. This is because I don't recall Cherie is technologically confused. We'll get you figured out, Cherie. Cherie probably will do more commenting in the chat than I do because I just talk all the time, as you guys all know. So I would imagine perhaps during the recording that we're going to listen to shortly, maybe I might type in the chat, but we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for your prayers and wishes. You're absolutely welcome. Gosh, Jennifer, it's just like family time here for me. And, Cherie and I have been family for years and years and years, virtually and in our hearts and souls. We've met, Cherie and I have met each other and spent a lot of time together in Airbnbs, traveled, during wrongful conviction case that we met each other in was Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey case. And so we've been to Wisconsin a couple of times together, Cherie and her husband and Jim, although I have the privilege of calling him Rose. That's a story. But anyway, Cherie and I have met, we've hugged, we've talked, we've cried together, we've shared so much together. So I feel like Cherie and I are family. That's why I call her my soul twin sister. But I'm getting in, I'm in another family now, or expanding my family, I should say. And Cherie doesn't know all of you guys as well as I do, K Bean and Just Dawn and Elf and Rick and Marlene, all of you who are, showing up and helping and supporting us. But I want her to know that you're part of that same family, Cherie, and just for the love and the camaraderie that I feel like I have. Cherie's getting to know Rick and Richard from Off Label Podcast, and Scott from Business Party Podcast, and recently Davey from Off Label Podcast, Simple Davey. He recorded. What's that? Jennifer, of course. Yes, Jennifer. Now, I'm going to just say this. All of you know we don't talk about politics on this channel because I'm keeping politics. Oh, who's in StreamYard? Who did that? Cherie, are you in StreamYard?
It wasn't me.
It was probably me, but I don't know how. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. So, you're in StreamYard, obviously.
I didn't do it on purpose, so I'll try to.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine. Hey, you know what? This is the time to play around. We're live, and if you got to play around and figure some shit out, you rock and roll. It's all good. That was awesome, though. So, anyway, we keep politics completely out of Daniel's case. There is an element of politics to it. And when times arise and we're having, we're doing a live stream, and for whatever reason, if a topic comes up that was political in his case, then we'll talk about it in that way very briefly. But as far as I apologize, I had to take a drink. As far as like politics, we don't talk about that. So for those of you who are involved with Robert's channel and Richard and those are all very political channels, and I'm content with expressing myself politically there in those ways. But we don't do it here. I won't do it here, and I will stop. I will shut it down if it does occur. And but I just want to make it known that there is only one thing between, as far as mine and Cherie's relationship, that's different, and that is our political beliefs and alignments. Cherie and I never, 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 ever talk politics ever. We're both. I've become very. What's my word I want to use? Strong or steadfast now in this last probably 6 months as to where I align, and it's not the same place where Cherie and her husband align. And guess what, you guys? That's okay. I love Cherie. She loves me in spite of our differences in opinions in politics, because at the end of the day, fuck politics. That's not what our relationship is about. So even in other settings, I try my best when Cherie and I are together in another setting. I do my best to cut, all political talk that may occur at all. There's no way that I'm going to risk our friendship and relationship, because no matter how much you love, family members have, gone away from each other, have separated, have become very bitter and hateful towards each other. And I understand that, and I see it. I have a son who he's a Bernie guy. I have one son, just one son out of all five of my kids. Only one son, one child, believes differently than I do politically. But I love my son in spite of it. And we do talk about politics a little bit. But at the end of the day, politics are not why we're together. Politics aren't why my family and I are strong and healthy together. And politics are not why I love Cherie and, value her friendship and her sisterhood and her love. So we don't talk about it. We won't talk about it. And I will be my bitchy, just Rhonda self, and shut it down if I feel like it gets to that point. So I don't know why I went off on that, but it's okay. We're all here to support Daniel in this channel, regardless. Nothing else matters. So blah, 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 blah. Rhonda's scrolling out.
Well, you wouldn't be Rhonda if you didn't squirrel out.
I know. Thank you for knowing that about me, Rick. And you guys just let me do it. And it's awesome. Anyway, let's see. I get back to the comments. Just on says, Elf, I know we've got our umbrellas tied down and we've got to scour the property to make sure nothing else will fly around. Just on, I think, is in, I can't remember, but I know that she's got some weather coming in. I think I know, but I don't want to say it out loud. That's not my place to say it. And I know that in Robert's chat, Just Dawn and Elf discussed their different weather happenings frequently. So Jennifer said, going back to the technology. Technology is a blessing and a curse. Yes, absolutely. It's a blessing when you're trying to do something like I try to do every week, but it's a curse when I think I know what I'm doing and I really don't. So, yeah, definitely a blessing and a curse. Let's see here. So, Who popped? Oh, there we got the RP Games popped in. RP Games also had knowledge of Daniel's case that I didn't know he had, just like with Rick. So RP Games also has some knowledge about Daniel's case before he, got involved in supporting us here on the channel. So I also appreciate his support as well. And let's see. Jennifer, I believe we are all sticking to the facts of Daniel's case, like all the facts. Yes, everybody is. If I made it sound like there was anything going on like that, I didn't mean that. I just was setting the record straight, I guess, or making sure everyone was aware or whatever. But yes, but I like where she says like all the facts, because we just finished, and you're going to hear some of it in this recording today too. Don't freak out. The recording's only about 25 minutes long, so it's not, it's not a 2-hour recording that I'm sitting here wasting time through, but you'll hear some of the facts, if I think this might be what Jennifer's referring to, in this preliminary trial that we're going to hear today. But we just recorded yesterday the trial transcript of this accuser. And oh my gosh, there are so many graphic warning areas. I think I put the graphic warning at the beginning of this video that we'll hear today, and then I think it's somewhere in the middle of it. I had to put it again just to remind people. It's very, very graphic. These are words that I'm not like afraid to use, but I'm not necessarily comfortably saying them publicly. At the same time, they have to be said. We can't sugarcoat these words. If we're going to present this trial the way it was actually said and the words that were actually, we have to say the words. And like I said, I'm not comfortable necessarily saying some of them in front of other people, but it has to be done. I'm just letting you know it's very graphic. So if you like titillating and graphic content, you're definitely at the right place. As far as I understand, there aren't very many other YouTubers who, I mean, I'm hearing YouTubers, they're making up words for different sorts of sexual assault and rape and things like that. But that's what this content is about. That's what this channel is about and covers. I can't, if I'm going to do justice to this case, I can't make up words to substitute for the words that really do pertain to it. So at any rate, let's see. Elf. In other words, shut up about politics. I know. I just, yeah. Nobody's politicking, but I just wanted to say it. So just want to make that clear. Just Dawn says, even I need a break from it every once in a while. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I do too. I think most of us do. Some of us do. Marlene said,
needs a break from all kinds of things every now and then.
Right. Yes.
One of my heroes nowadays is Dave Rubin, where every year he takes 30 days and just unplugs electronically completely.
Yep, goes completely dark. Yes, I didn't know that until this summer, Rick. But I was like, wow, and good for him. I mean, some big shit went down while he was on his hiatus, and he didn't know nothing about it until he got back. So good for him. Yeah, he's pretty freaking awesome that way. We all need to do that, or to some extent do that, if we can. If we, financially, Dave Rubin can do that. But, at any rate, Marlene says, all three of my adult children and their spouses are on the opposite side of the fence from me. We have a gentleman's agreement and never talk politics. Yeah, I think that's pretty logical. Thank you for that comment, Marlene. Storms coming to Texas. Okay, I thought it was Texas, just Dawn, but I didn't want to say that. So that I've heard, yeah, things are going to get a little shaky to kind of put a pun on that. TJ Anderson. TJ, it is so great to see you. We know TJ from a long time ago. We know TJ originally from Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. TJ, I think I can say this, TJ is very familiar with Oklahoma City and very familiar with what went on in Daniel's case as it was occurring. And has been, once he realized we were covering this case, he started following us as well. So it's always great to see you, TJ. Glad you were able to make it. Let's see. I don't want to miss any of the. Let's see here. Just Rhonda's ego, alter ego, soul twin sister says, the facts are stranger than fiction. What the media put out in this case, yeah. It was really horrible. Well, mainstream media, so take that for what it's worth. Rick D, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. I'm so grateful to have you support us in that way and in every other way that we ask for your help and your support. You're always there, and so thank you for supporting us with 5 gifted memberships. Hopefully, they're in the chat currently. Yes, we know that. Oh, good. Yes. Okay. I see. Marlene. Awesome. That's good because it doesn't happen very often anymore. Tubies have been done some changes on how those gifted memberships are dispersed. So we appreciate that at least one person in our chat got a membership. And thank you again so much, Rick. Wop. Yeah. I had to actually Google that about, I think about 6 months ago, because I didn't know. I mean, I have grandkids, that are old enough, that listen to this kind of music, and my kids, my own adult kids, listen to it, and I don't know that they're familiar with. God, her name just escaped my mind for whatever reason. Probably because I just don't care for her. But at any rate, that song, Cardi B, yes. So I finally, because I kept seeing it in different chats, in different comments, in different whatever, I would see people just saying WAP or WAP. I don't know how people pronounce it, but WAP, basically. It's an acronym. So I now know what that means, that song, because I listened to just a little bit of the song. Listen, I am the most open-minded, uneasily offended person, out there, but I couldn't tolerate the song. I'm really sorry. It was just too much for me. But yes,
I are from a very different generation when it comes to music.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. My music, my genre preferences have changed over the years. I mean, my soul, my standard, my in my heart music is back from the 70s, 50s, 60s, and particularly the 70s, 80s, and then I ventured into a time where I started paying attention to old school rap, West Coast rap. I happen to love the old school West Coast rap. I don't listen to it every day, but I know it, and some of the artists I really, really like and appreciate. Ice Cube is probably my favorite West Coast rapper. Anyway, so they've evolved. My preferences have evolved, but I go back to where we are from, the three of us actually here. But I kind of, as bad as their lyrics are in some old school rap even, or hip hop, yeah, there is some really nasty stuff there too. But I'm sorry, this WAP song by Cardi B was just too much for me. I just couldn't. Jennifer's point is there's a lot of WAP talk that's coming today and will be coming next week. Just buckle up and be prepared. And Sheila, it's so great to see you. So happy to have you, and so happy you were able to make it in time before we get started here with this recording. Um,
Elf
have I?
and Rhonda will appreciate this too. I had an NCOIC in the Army who could remember Specialist Hendricks sitting in the common room in the barracks of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, playing around on his guitar.
Who? Oh, who was? I'm sorry. Who was it? I missed what you said.
Specialist Hendricks.
Oh,
Jimi Hendrix.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix is, Jimi Hendrix. Cherie is very much into music as well. Cherie has a very wide, well, maybe wide isn't the right word, but she has a lot of love for some of the older music that we all grew up with. So,
Mamas and
Beatles,
Papas.
Mamas and the
Beatles.
Papas. Yes,
Yep.
of course. The Beatles. I think in our first trip to Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, Cherie and I weren't able to get into the same Airbnb on that first trip. So she stayed at a different one, and it was the Airbnb that she stayed in was Beatle themed, the Beatles themed. It was pretty awesome. And she was willing, Cherie, I think if I may say, you were willing to pay a little extra money for that one because of the theme. So yeah.
Yep.
Okay. A few more
as
comments.
opposed to the clown hotel in Nevada that everybody avoids.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's so gross there. Oh gosh.
Haven't heard of that one.
Have you been to Las Vegas, Cherie, before?
No.
We're just chatting, y'all. We're all just hanging out chatting for a minute. Because that's how I roll. But okay, so in Las Vegas, they have and I think this is what Rick is referring to. They have a ginormous hotel that's called Circus. Is that what you're referring to, Rick? Oh, okay.
There's actually another one outside of Vegas. It's between Vegas and Reno on, I want to say US 93, but I'm not sure that's the US highway. It's like 30 miles away from Vegas, and every room is a clown theme.
Oh, okay.
It's just creepy.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't do that. I haven't heard of that. I was way off track with my circus thing then. I thought,
yeah, circus. I don't mind. I did an event for years at the old Rib across the street from Circus.
Yeah. Well, in Circus, it used to be anyway, family friendly, and that's kind of was the theme for Circus.
Yep.
And, you could take it was still a casino, but there was a lot of activity geared towards kids because, parents take their kids to Vegas because parents want to play and be adults. But, they want to also provide something for, their kids. So, yeah. Oh, no way. There's no way I would ever stay in a room that was clown themed. Are you kidding me? That's awful. I'll stay in the Beatles themed Airbnb with Cherie.
It actually featured in an episode of Criminal Minds. That was where the serial killer stayed at.
Oh, now I'm curious. Oh, man. Okay, try to get me back on track here. Marlene says, when I was a college student, I was friends with an elderly woman who was a retired reporter. I asked her about, quote unquote, getting the facts wrong. She explained that they report, quote unquote, as they understand them. That's interesting.
Well, it's actually a very important point. Because if a reporter reports the facts as they understand them, their understanding is based on how it was explained to them. So how the officials explain something to a reporter is directly related to how they report them.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. But I just, yeah, I just feel like, of course, not every journalist or reporter is an investigative journalist or reporter, because I do think there's a distinction.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so I don't know though, man. I just, I'm not a reporter or journalist or anything like that. But when I'm doing the content here, when we're putting together this content, we're bringing, we're not we're not bringing you things that we think or things that we assume or things that we're bringing you facts based on documents that Cherie and I and Rick also, um, have got access to. And if I don't, if I'm just giving you an opinion or I'm speculating, I, I think I always make sure that my audience knows that. So, but I don't feel like we always get that with reporting. I feel like we're getting more opinion based on a topic as a whole from reporters that I've noticed in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. So, Elf says, Rick, we grew up with the greatest music. Elf, I grew up there too. I'm older than Rick, but Cherie's older than me. So yeah, I grew up with that same music, and I
2 days.
2 days. You're still, but still. Anyway, yeah, that's why Cherie and I are so close. But yeah, we did. We grew up. I think all three of us here on the panel would agree with Elf. Yes, we grew up with the greatest music, no doubt. And I'll fight people for that. um, Little Barb, hello. We are always so happy to see you. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out and supporting us as we support Daniel. It's always great to see you in the chat. Let's see here. NWO or NWA. See, my mind goes right to NWA, but I can't. That's a word I won't say. So, no matter what, it's just I won't say the word anyway. Okay, that's what you meant. Okay, pay attention, Rhonda. Yes, NWA. Okay, so I don't want to. Not going to say where Jennifer is, but she and I both know what that means. It's definitely a West Coast rap reference. So I just love you. Better to Google than to ask a grandkid. I have so I have grandkids ranging in ages from 24 down to some that are going to be turning 10 this year. Three grandkids that I share a home with, and their ages are 15, 13, and 11, almost 10. I did have to recently, I want to say about a month ago, you guys can laugh at me if you want, but had to ask, what are you guys talking about, Riz? And the two older ones laughed, ha ha ha, Nana, blah, blah, blah. So there are times that I do ask my grandkids. Their mom, my daughter, works at the junior high school where my grandson attends now. And, so she also is very, very on top of all. She has to be. She's their mom, but very, very on top of these words. But yeah, you could be right, K Bean. Better to Google than ask a grandkid. Yeah, maybe, especially with WAP.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. Anyway, Tony, hi. I just wanted to pop in and show support. Thank you all for all you do for the wrongfully convicted. Tony, thank you for being here and showing your support as we tried our best to support those who are wrongfully convicted. Most specifically in this channel, Daniel Holtzclaw. However, in case you guys didn't catch it, we did do a live stream last week, very impromptu, regarding Richard Glossop, who I also believe is wrongfully convicted, and his death row conviction was just tossed by the Supreme Court, and a new trial was ordered. So we're going to keep up with that and see where that goes. But yes, thank you, Tony, for showing your support. Now Jennifer has purple haze in her brain. I know, it gets there and doesn't go away. David Gilmour wears the guitar strap that Hendrix gave him, brown leather with white X's. I just got chills. David Gilmour is among the geniuses, in my opinion. When I did my son who passed away in 2021, I took a break from live streaming anything at all. And after a few months, I did come back and I did like a nearly 4-hour kind of tribute to him, to my son. And I cried through most of it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I started the video out.
I got to see Pink Floyd at Wembley when I was stationed
Did
in Europe.
you? Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, it gives me chills just even for those who don't know, who aren't familiar, and I can't imagine very many people in this chat are not familiar. David Gilmour is a guitarist for Pink Floyd and fucking brilliant. When my son died, my oldest son, his brother, had asked me to include "Wish You Were Here." I'm not going to cry. I'm really not, in the tribute if I could somewhere. And so I opened the tribute with that that I did that night with David Gilmour playing "Wish You Were Here," and live. Nothing better than live. And it was very, very, I look back at that now and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's so gaudy. But at any rate, I did. And as far as I know, YouTube did not, well, I wasn't monetized, and that could be perhaps why, but YouTube allowed the whole song to play. Maybe it was divine intervention. I don't know. But so I did that. I played, that was the opening, I think, of the tribute that night. And for many, many reasons, I just can't watch David Gilmour playing that song without, losing all the water from my eyes. But yes, David Gilmour.
I can
phenomenal.
relate.
Yeah.
Garth
Yes,
Brooks
I know you
River, for me, that's what we played at my oldest son's funeral.
The River?
Yep.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, music touches us in ways that in some ways, I think sometimes that we may have never expected. But in my Discord, I have a room or a channel, whatever it's called, music touches my soul, or whatever it is that it's called. And I don't post stuff in it very often. When you see me posting music in there, it's because I'm in an emotional place. And music is how I express my emotions most of the time. Otherwise, I'd be doing a live stream every freaking day, bawling to everybody. So,
to quote David McCallum's character on NCIS, music is the art that feeds the mind.
Right. Yeah. Also, if I may, when you listen to, I think everyone here knows American Pie. That song is obviously all about music. That the day that Don McLean is talking about the day the music died, and literally, from my recollection, from what Don McLean has said, that is, you guys, I'm really sorry. I know this is supposed to be about Daniel, but I'm just following my heart right now. But Don McLean has said that song was written in memory of the day the music died, when Richie Valens,
the Big Bopper,
and
Buddy Holly on that.
Buddy Holly, yeah, yep. When their plane crashed, they were all on the same airplane, and so that from my understanding, is the song that Don McLean wrote, American Pie, is talking about the day the music died was the day that Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper and Richie Valence's plane went down and they were all killed. Uh, so music has the capability of touching us in every way whenever we need it, I feel like. So I'm really sorry, guys. Um, he mentioned in an interview Major Floyd down here. Yeah, I listen. If you're not a Pink Floyd fan, put a hand up or something in the chat. But I don't think I'll see many people saying that they're not Pink Floyd fans. I think we all love Pink Floyd. Um, okay, let's see. Wow, I just like the chat. The comments here are just amazing, and so I'm really having trouble just getting to you know, the content that we have ready for you guys.
Tonopah. Thank you, K Bean. Yes, that's where the Climb Motel is at. Tonopah, Nevada.
Oh, Tonopah. Oh, okay, I know where that is. I'm gonna have to check it out. I've never heard of it.
I think
That's
Tonopah is
interesting.
also the one that has the mega jelly bean store. They've got about
Oh,
every flavor of jelly bean you could even think of.
huh. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't been out that way. I haven't been back to California. My mom passed away July 9th, July 9th of 2019. And God, I can't believe that date just actually left my brain. But anyway, I left and I moved back to Utah in August, no, not August. Yes, it was August because we had to wait to bury her because she was on a waiting list to be buried at Riverside National Cemetery. So after we buried her, I moved back to Utah, but I did have to go back. So I think sometime in August, I went back to get the rest of my things. And so I think that's the last time I've been to California. That's not true. Cherie, I went to see Richard in Orange County twice, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Once in October and once in December. At any rate, so I haven't traveled down that road between here and California. But jelly beans, I love jelly beans. Okay, yeah, all right. I got to get us back to back onto uh, um, content that I want to say before I do take get back to where we're supposed to be. I don't know how many. So everyone here, I think, knows who Bob Dylan is, and what he's done for music. Um, Whether you like his music or not, I think everyone knows the name. So when in 1995 or four, I think, I was managing a Subway sandwich shop in Spanish Fork, Utah. And my best friend at the time and I, her name was Brenda, we were both the managers, and we were opening in the morning shift this one day. And it was a weekday, and it was before lunch, before the kids all, were coming in for lunch or before it got busy. And this guy walks in and he's got a guitar strapped on his back. And he's a nice looking young man. And I mentioned to him, he was the only customer in the store, and I was making his sandwich. And I said something to him about, it looks like you're on your way to a concert, or I don't remember how I even mentioned it, but I mentioned the guitar on his back and him, being a musician. And he said, or where he was going. And he said, oh, I'm just I'm just on my way to Wolf Mountain. K Bean might remember Wolf Mountain. It's now, it's not Wolf Mountain anymore, but it was an outdoor concert venue basically. And I said, I said, cool. What are you going to be, playing a concert? Well, I'm not really, yeah, you know, I'm just, I'm not a professional musician. I'm just kind of getting started, blah, blah, blah. And I said, we talked, and then at some point, I think I said, well, I said, would I know your music? Would I recognize your name? And he said, no, I don't think so. My name is Jacob Dylan. And I said, naturally, my eyes widened, and I said, Dylan? And he kind of not put his head down, but he kind of like, I look back on it now, and I think I get the feeling that he was like, oh, fuck, here we go. So anyway, long story short, it turns out he was the son of Bob Dylan's son, Jacob Dylan, who is now frontman for the Wallflowers. Oh, I got chills. Anyway, so I met him, and I said, I have to ask, can you just sign your name for? I mean, you become a fangirl at that point, no matter how old you are. Based on the fact that Bob Dylan was his dad, I asked if, Canyons. Yeah, that's what it is now, Canyons. Thank you. I saw the Beach Boys at Wolf Mountain. So tells you how long ago that was. Anyway, so it turned out, he said, yeah, yes, of course, also. And I didn't have anything handy. And I was in the middle of making his sandwich. And so the other manager, my friend, she said, get a, so she grabbed a Subway napkin for him to sign for me. And he signed it. And, it was legible. You could see it. But, I had 6 kids at the time, and I don't know how, but that napkin ended up getting lost, and I don't have it anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I met Jacob Dylan before he was the Wallflowers, and yes, it is probably my greatest claim to meeting a star was Jacob Dylan as far as music is concerned. Okay, we're done with me being all over this music thing and squirreling out. As Jennifer says, oh my God, more squirrels. Yeah, I know. That's what happens when I get to say and talk and whatever I want to. Andrea, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you hanging out and being here to support us. It's great to see you. Okay, who's ready for this trial, this preliminary transcript recording that we have? Everybody should be ready. Let me get it. It's been ready for as long as I've been up here running my mouth, but I've been running my mouth instead. So let me get the video file and get it loaded up here for you. I added some things to this, even though it's been done. I decided way too late to add some stuff to it that I think will just kind of make it a little more, I don't know, a little friendlier to Daniel, because it certainly is horrible content that took place in this.
Oh, come on, call it what it is. It was
WAP.
A bunch of disgusting fed lies to a witness.
Yeah, it really is. Just want to make sure I'm getting the right one. I got to figure out how to name these properly, or maybe upload them in a different location than where I load the recordings. Let me try it this way. Kala Lyles. Okay, I think this is it right here. Okay, yes, this is the proper video, I think. So, like I said, it's only about 25 minutes long, so feel free to comment in the chat, whatever you would like to say. If you see, well, anyway, here we go.
7th Judicial District of Oklahoma transcript the preliminary hearing had on the 18th day of November 2014 before the Honorable D. Fred Doak, Special Judge. Reported by Pamela J. Gould, CSR, RPR, Official Court Reporter, Oklahoma County Courthouse, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73102. 405-713-2354.
State calls Kala Lyles. Right around over here to this spot, right over there.
Could you come right over here, ma'am? Just right here by the bench will be good. Have a seat there in the witness chair, if you would please, ma'am. Sit where you can comfortably, face out towards the lectern in the middle of the room. Mr. Giger will help you with the microphone. When you're comfortably situated, would you please tell me your name?
Kala Lyles.
You might move a little closer to the microphone and move it closer to you.
Kala Lyles.
That's good. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Giger, you may inquire.
Miss Lyles, if I can, I would like to ask you some questions about, first of all, you're currently on probation. Is that right?
Yes.
And at some point, ma'am, did you see something on the television that made you tell your probation officer about something that happened with a police officer?
It was saying about confess the one night about what that police officer was doing.
Okay. And did you go to your probation officer and tell him about that?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of you telling your probation officer, do you know if the Oklahoma City Police Department was contacted?
Yes, it was a detective.
Okay. And do you recognize that detective in this courtroom? Do you see her?
Yes.
Okay. Is it Detective Davis here at the table?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to talk to her about what happened to you?
Yes.
Okay. In that regard, ma'am, I want you to turn your attention back to June of this year, and specifically the early morning hours of June 18th of 2014. Does that sound about the right time frame that these things happened?
Yes.
If you can, on that very early morning of June 18th, tell me what was going on. Had you been in an argument with someone?
Yes. I was arguing with my boyfriend and I just wanted to go take a walk.
Okay. What's your boyfriend's name?
James.
Okay. And I don't really need to know necessarily about what you were arguing about, but was it a verbal argument?
Someone like that.
Okay. Was it physical or just verbal?
No, just verbal. It wasn't no physical.
You needed to cool off?
Yes.
So what did you do?
I just took a walk.
Okay. And tell me where you were and where you started walking and where you went.
I was walking down 16th of Lottie.
Northeast 16th and Lottie?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that relatively close to where you were staying at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. And as you were walking down around 16th and Lottie, what happened?
He stopped me and pulled me over and
A police officer stopped you?
yes.
Okay. How did that happen? Did he turn lights on or did he just pull up on you and talk to you, or what happened?
He had pulled his lights on.
And when he stopped
I'm
you?
sorry. I didn't understand that, ma'am.
He had stopped and turned his lights on.
Thank you.
Okay. At that time, ma'am, were you on the phone?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Who were you talking to?
To James.
Okay. So you were actually cooling off by getting away from James, but you were talking on the phone with him still about whatever it is you were talking about. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
And so when the officer stopped you, were you still on the phone with James?
Yes, he had told me turn the phone off.
Okay. The officer told you turn the phone off?
Yes.
Okay. Did you say anything to James about being stopped or about having to hang up the phone?
Yes.
What did you say to James?
I had to hang up the phone because I was fixing to get my name checked.
Okay. So he understood a police officer was stopping you.
Yes.
Did you turn the phone off or did you hang it up?
I hung it up.
Okay. What happened next?
After that, he ran my name and asked me if whether I wanted a ride, where I was going, and I said no, thank you, but he gave me a ride halfway where I was going anyway.
Okay. Why didn't you want to get a ride from a police officer?
Because of the area where I'm staying at. I don't want to seem like I was a snitch.
Is it a bad thing to be seen as a snitch in that neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. And you thought, am I understanding, that you thought if someone saw you getting out of a police car, they would think you were snitching?
Yes.
And that's what you didn't want?
Yes.
Did you tell the officer that?
Yes.
Okay. What did he say in response to you saying, I don't want to go with you?
He kept saying like he wasn't trying to hear it. Like he was still trying to get me to get a ride and saying it was too late at night to be walking.
So he kept saying, you need to come with me for different reasons.
Yeah, just different reasons. He was just trying to get me to get a ride home from him.
Okay. So even though you told him you didn't want to, he kept saying, let me give you a ride.
Yes.
Eventually, did you decide to get in the car with him, or what happened?
I was already in the police car because he was running my name.
Okay. So did he take you somewhere in the police car?
He took me between the school building.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't understand that.
A school building, like an abandoned building.
And Miss Lyles, let me make sure I understand. Okay. So at some point you said it was okay for him to take you somewhere, or what?
I had no choice. I was already in the back seat of the police car.
Okay. Where did you think he was going to take you?
Drop me off right there off at 16th and Highland, where I said, well, at least just drop me off, because I was right there off of 16th and Lottie. And right there, 16th and Lottie, all the way to 16th and Highland, it's a cool mile of a walk. And I asked to get out and he wouldn't let me out.
Okay. So you said, okay, just take me to
Okay,
16th
stop.
and Highland then.
Yeah.
And that's about a mile away. It's a distance away. Fair enough.
Stop for a second.
Okay.
What she just said is very important. He wouldn't let me out. If you go in the back seat of a police car, the handles inside are disabled. You can't open them. It's not that he wouldn't let her out, it's that she couldn't get out. My question is, did she ever ask him to get out? Did she ever say, okay, this is close enough?
Well, I'm just going to preface that by saying I 100% do not believe she was ever taken anywhere when she was in the back seat of that car.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah, she was never transported anywhere. Everything she's going to say is based on my research, mine and Cherie's research, and evidence or documents that we have that we've seen. There's no evidence that she was ever transported from 16th and Lottie to anywhere. That will come. I'll be able to show you that. Not next week's, but the week after, I think, when Detective Davis testifies for this sick individual. But I agree. She never says if she asked to get out. She just says he wouldn't let me out. I mean, that's more damning. That just makes it more,
Well, yeah. And the other thing is, she says in this testimony, I was already in the police car because he was running my name. Unless you're under arrest, officers rarely put you in the back seat of the car while they run your name. They stand there on the sidewalk with you and call in on the radio, which he had. If you look at the pictures of him in uniform, he had an external radio different from his car. He had a mobile. He wouldn't have put her in the car to run her name.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, Jennifer Gigger leads witnesses all the time. 90% of the questions he asks are leading.
Yeah. And he gets away with it. First of all, the defense attorney doesn't object to it enough. And and the judge allows him to do it. Of course, we know where the judge's opinions lie, but yeah, there's always leading, and I get frustrated sometimes when we're recording. I'll even shout out objection leading, or objection, whatever. And like Richard, the first time I did that, Richard's like, oh wait, did I miss my no, you didn't miss anything. I'm just filling in for where he should be saying shit. But anyway, yeah, lots of leading.
Yeah, you don't hear those moments now because we call those Rhonda Squirrel moments, and I give her the timestamp so she can remove them.
Rhonda rants. Yeah. So I'm trying to do, Rick is taking down those timestamps so I can edit out, most of my shit. Okay, here we go. We're back to it. But yes, Rick makes a very valid point there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you thought he was going to go, but you said something about him taking you to a school. Did he take you somewhere else?
Yeah. He just took me up to the school instead. He didn't stop.
Okay. Do you know what school it was?
No, it's an abandoned school, I know.
Okay. Do you know what street it's close by?
Miramar.
By Miramar. Okay. Approach, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
There is some exhibits from yesterday. Thank you, Judge. Miss Lyles, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 5. Okay. Do you recognize that as an aerial photograph of the school is that the school you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. If I show you State's Exhibit 4, you see that the same school, it's just further away. Do you know which way he brought you into the school? You remember?
Right through there.
And you're motioning. Why don't you motion so that the judge can see, basically?
Right through that park right there, because that's like where the park is.
Okay. So there is a dead end road here, and he came in this way?
Yeah, he hopped the curb.
He hopped the curb.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me switch over to State's Exhibit number.
Mr. Giger, let me ask you if you'd stand on this side of the witness so she can turn towards the microphone. That would help my reporter.
Oh, absolutely, Judge. Did you hear?
Yes, I've got it so far.
Okay. And then here, ma'am. So if that curve's right there, where did he take you then? Show me where you went.
He hopped the curb and then he had slid between one of them buildings right in there.
Up in this area?
Yeah.
All right. Ma'am, when he drove you into that location, tell me what happened at that point, please.
After that, he ran me through.
Did he say anything to you?
He made me shake my bra and pull my panties down and made sure I wasn't hiding anything.
Okay. So he asked you about if you had anything on your body.
Yeah.
And did he actually tell you to adjust your clothing like you just told me about?
Yes.
Okay. So he told you to do that.
Yeah.
You were motioning, ma'am.
This is very important because she says he put her in the car and transported her there and then made her prove she didn't have anything on her. Standard procedure for a police officer is you search them before they go in the car. You search them before they go in the car. You search the car after they get out of the car. And that way, the next time you stop somebody and put them in the back of the car, you know which person you put in that car had something that got dropped in the back seat. You always, always, always search that car when you go on shift. Search a person before you put them in. Search the car after you take them out. He never would have put her in that car without searching her. Never.
And Daniel has spoken to that and said that he never ever put a person in his car without searching them first, ever.
No, you're required to. You gotta make sure they don't. What's the famous question that every police officer asks when they search somebody? Do you have anything on you that's going to hurt you or me?
Yep. Hurt me, stick me, poke me. Yep. Yeah. And Daniel was no different. Besides not being good with filling out his field activity cards or whatever, and doing the paperwork part of it, Daniel was by the book. And I mean, I guess that's, you just have to take my word for it that he was by the book, because I'm taking his word for it because of what I know about him and what I've seen based on documents that, that we've seen. Yes. So the next accuser, I think, that's coming up, well, maybe in a couple of, I'm not sure, Cherie, if it's the next one. I think Shardarian Hill's the next one, and then Adara Gardner. But something very similar is going to occur with the Adara Gardner's case when we get to that too, about searching before he puts them in the car to transport. So, but
Marlene, I don't remember seeing you in the chat before, so I don't know if you know this about me. I was a reserve police officer for a while. That's how I know these procedures. And they absolutely drilled it into us. Before you put anyone in the car, you search them. More for your protection than theirs, because if I ask a person, do you have anything that's going to hurt you or me? And they say no, and then they have something on them that hurts them, now I can charge them with giving false information to a law enforcement officer because they told me no.
Yep.
Stops a lawsuit.
Yeah. Well, unless you're Dan Holtzclaw, of course. But anyway, that's beside the point. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Rick.
Whenever you adjusted your bra, tell me exactly what you did with your shirt and or your bra.
I had to take my bra from my breasts and shake it, and I had to pull my panties down so he would know it was nothing under between my legs.
Miss Lyles, whenever you had to remove your bra from up against your body and shake it out, were your breasts exposed to him?
Yeah.
And he could see them?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was looking at you? Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear an answer.
I'm sorry. Was that yes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. After you did that, is that when you went and did your pants?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of pants were you wearing, if you remember?
I can't remember.
Okay. Tell me about how you adjusted your pants or what you did exactly with your pants so that he was satisfied there.
I need everyone to pay close attention when we're talking about clothing here. Just pay attention to it. It's very important.
There was nothing down there.
I had just pulled my panties down to my waistline. I mean, from my waistline or not, so he can see.
Okay. So you pulled your pants down and then you pulled your panties down as well. Okay. Did you actually expose your private parts to him, your vagina?
Yes.
Could he actually see that?
Yes.
Okay. Did he make any comments whenever you were doing either of these things?
Yes.
What did he say?
I bet that pussy is wet.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
I bet that pussy is wet.
That's funny. It's not funny, but it was funny to me. The judge is like, excuse me? Did you just say what I think you said? That's what I was hearing when he asked that question. It was kind of like, and just for reference, going forward in future episodes, this is one of Kala Lyles' favorite fucking lines to say. It's like she can't, you'll hear in next week's for sure, but this is her favorite line that she says. And God bless you, Jennifer.
He said that at the same time period that you were exposing your vagina to him? Okay. Did you want to do those things, ma'am? Did you want to show him that part of your body?
No.
Okay. After he said, I bet that pussy is wet, or I think that pussy is wet, what did he do next, or what happened next?
Then he made me give him some head.
Okay. Tell me how that happened. Where were you? Were you still, when you were adjusting your clothing like that, were you still in the police car, or were you outside of the police car?
I was in the police car.
Okay. In the back seat? Where was he?
Still in the back seat by the car door.
Okay. Had he opened the back door of the car?
Yes.
Was he standing outside and you were sitting inside?
Yes.
So that's where he could look and see what you were doing.
Yeah.
Okay. You said he then told you to give him some head, and I think everyone knows what that means. But I want to be real clear. Did he put his penis in your mouth?
Yes.
Were you still sitting in the car?
Yeah.
Okay. Were your feet all the way in the car and everything in the car?
Uh-huh.
And he was standing beside you?
Yes.
How did his penis get exposed to you? Do you know?
He just pulled it out.
Okay. Do you know how he pulled it out? And what I mean is, did he pull his pants down? Did he unzip his pants? Did he?
He just unzipped them.
Okay. He pulled it out of his fly.
Yeah.
Okay. So his pants stayed up, but his penis was out of his fly.
Yes.
Did it go in your mouth?
Yes.
About how long did that take? I'm sorry. How long did that last?
I can't remember.
Okay. Do you know if he ejaculated? Did he come?
I don't think so.
Okay. How did it stop?
I don't know. I guess if we were at the spot for a little bit too long.
Okay. At some point, did he pull away from you?
Yes.
Okay. After that, what happened next, ma'am?
After that, he made me bend over and
Did he have you get out of the car to bend over, or how did you bend over?
I decided to put pictures of Daniel's patrol car in here because I want to try to help give a better visual of how I think how unlikely her uh, story here is. So, imagine a 5 foot something woman and a 6'2" man accomplishing the things that she's saying happened, knowing what the patrol car actually looked like.
Over.
it was just a part of my body was outside the car and I was still leaning inside the car.
Were your feet outside the car?
Yes.
Were they on the ground?
Yes.
And was the top half, or were you bent over the back seat of the car?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened whenever he had you in that position, ma'am?
He was doing me.
Did he have sex with you?
Yes.
How did your pants get down that time?
That's when he pulled it down.
He pulled your pants down? Pulled your panties down too? Is that yes?
Ma'am, I need an answer that I can hear.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then he put his penis in your vagina from behind you. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you know how long that lasted, ma'am? Do you have any idea?
Probably like 10 minutes, if that.
Do you know if he ejaculated this time, or do you know if he came this time?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? At some point, ma'am, did he stop?
Yes.
Okay. When he stopped, or during this time, was he saying anything to you that you can remember?
No.
Okay. When it was over, did he say anything to you?
Yeah. He wanted to see me the next day.
Okay. What did you think when he said that to you?
It made me nervous.
Were you scared?
Yeah.
Did you want to do any of those things that he did that night?
Uh-uh.
Ma'am, whenever that was over and he says, I want to see you again the next day, what happened at that point?
I stayed in for a little bit, for a couple of days.
You stayed inside?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me back up. Did you and he separate at that point, or how did he leave, or what happened?
I walked from where I was.
From the school?
Yeah. I walked all the way back home.
Do you know where he went?
No.
Did he leave in his police car?
Yes.
Did you see him drive off?
Yeah. I didn't see him drive off, but I know he left.
You just saw him leave in the car.
Yeah.
You walked home.
Yeah.
Did you have the occasion to tell anybody about it?
Just my boyfriend.
Okay. Did you go back to James's house?
Yes.
Where you and James lived?
Yeah.
When you told
I think Rick mentioned this the last time when we were going over the police report about where she lived. And at this time, Kala Lyles is on probation that this incident occurred, alleged incident occurred. She's on probation, and her home address is the address of where her parents live.
Okay.
And where she
Not
go ahead,
not
Rick.
her home address, her address of record.
Address of record, yes, that's
There's a
important.
difference, because if you listen next week, she tells Giger they'd been living at the the other place for 4 or 5 weeks.
Right. Just real quick, any way to bump up the volume? I don't have any way to bump up the volume right now. If it's hard to hear, I can't do it now because I've got everything turned up as loud as I can. It's recorded in the volume that it is. I'll pay closer attention to that for next week's episode, though. I apologize if you're unable to hear it very clearly. Sorry, Elf. Okay, yeah, so she's violating probation by not living where she is supposed to be living according to the record.
Yep.
Okay. Muffin Rando, welcome. It's so great to
James about it. What did he say?
He told me to call 911.
But you didn't, did you?
No, because I was scared.
Okay. Were you just afraid to tell?
Yeah,
What were you afraid of?
just some of these police systems.
Didn't trust the police? Okay. Ma'am, you said that whenever this started,
Were you saying something, Rick?
No, I hiccuped and I was mouthing apologies.
Oh, okay. I meant to, I'll take it back full screen so people don't see. Sorry.
you were on the phone with James and you had to hang up because the officer told you to. Once you were able to get away and look at your phone, did you notice anything about your phone or James trying to get in touch with you?
He was, but I couldn't. He had my phone. He had took my phone away from me, so I didn't have it in my possession.
The officer had?
Yeah,
Okay. Did it show that James had been trying to call you?
yeah.
Do you remember whether or not this officer had any tattoos? Did you see any?
Yeah, it was like some like graphic design
Where was it on his body?
on his arms.
On his arm. Okay. Ma'am, do you see the police officer that did these things to you in the courtroom?
Yes,
Okay. Can you tell me where he's sitting, please?
right over there
Okay. Is he sitting at a table or is he sitting somewhere else?
at a table.
Okay. There is 3 gentlemen at this table. One is closest to me, one is in the middle, and one is closest to the judge. Which one is he?
The one closest to the judge.
Ask the record to reflect identification, Your Honor.
Record will reflect that the witness has pointed out Daniel K. Holtzclaw as the officer she confronted on June 18th, 2014.
Your Honor, I believe also there has already been testimony as to the location and the venue of the school in Oklahoma County. I believe with that, I have no other questions at this time. Ask the witness.
Cross-examine.
Miss Lyles, you're currently on probation for possession with intent to distribute narcotics, correct?
Yep,
And another crime, correct?
yep,
Convicted felon?
yeah.
Let's talk about how you first disclosed this alleged event between you and Officer Holtzclaw. You had missed you're required to go see a probation officer every month, correct?
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you missed your August meeting with your probation officer?
No.
So if your probation officer would testify and has already told detectives that that's what happened, he's lying?
Yeah, because I went in to see him.
Do what?
I went to go see him.
You went to go see him in September of 2014.
No, I missed September and I went in August.
Okay, if he says you went in September and you missed August, he would be lying. Is that what you're telling this court?
It would be a misunderstanding, but most likely, yeah.
Okay, in any event, if all the reports reflect that this isn't reported to the Oklahoma City Police Department until mid-September of 2014, would that be accurate?
Say that again?
If all the reports and all the information that I have received shows that your reporting of this incident with Officer Holtzclaw did not happen until mid-September of 2014, would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, because you had missed your August meeting with your probation officer?
No, it wasn't that. It was just that's when I started reading up on the news behind it.
You were reading in the news that Officer Holtzclaw was in trouble, correct?
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Was that
Yes.
That he was accused of doing these inappropriate things with people over there on that side of town where you're from, correct?
Yes.
And so your probation officer, when you came in to see him, said, "Why have you missed your meeting? What has been going on with you," correct?
He wasn't saying it like that, but I didn't know who else to turn to for that search is.
Well, you understand that one of the conditions of your probation is if you don't go to see him and report to him, you're going to go to the penitentiary.
I know that, and I seen my PO.
Okay, but you had missed the previous month, correct?
Okay, I went to go see him that last month, but what the times I have not went to go see him, it was behind because my boyfriend had a heart attack.
Let me ask you if this sounds like a correct statement from your probation officer. He wanted to know why you had missed your last meeting because, again, you can be violated and go to prison. And you told him you had been going through a lot. You told him your boyfriend had 2 heart attacks and you had been raped by an Oklahoma City police officer, correct?
He was wondering why I didn't go do my classes.
Okay, the first time you disclosed this alleged event between you and Officer Holtzclaw was in September of 2014 after it had all been all over the news, correct?
That's when I had told him about it.
After you had seen it on the news, correct? Correct?
Yes.
And after you had missed your mandatory meeting with your probation officer?
No, I've been going to see my PO, I already said. Only reason why he was wondering why I have not went to go take my classes, that was the reason why he was wondering why I did not. Haven't been going to see my classes. That's the only thing. I've been going to see my PO every month.
Okay. Is your PO Jack Bowling?
Yes, he
Stop.
is.
So if he would testify that
Keep that point in mind, people. She says she's been going to see her PO every month. In testimony later in the trial, she actually says she didn't. She rescheduled her appointment.
Yeah, there is a lot of lying that goes on about this probation appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess this preliminary testimony is really, well, it's what it is anyway, but for our purposes, this is just a teaser because in what we just recorded yesterday, that's going to be shown next week, just if you can, next week, before we do the live stream next week with the trial testimony, try to rewatch just this portion of this live stream because during the trial, during the testimony part, because I think it will be too easy between today and next week's trial testimony to remember the lies. I'm not saying that people are stupid and can't, but for Cherie and I and Rick now, knowing as much as we know, and these things are embedded, at least especially for Cherie and I can't speak for Rick, but especially for Cherie and I, these lies and inconsistencies are embedded in us. Is that the right word? I don't know if that's a proper word, but
I would
Cherie
say
and I,
embedded, not embedded.
embedded. Thank you. I knew embedded was the wrong word. Thank you, Rick. Sorry. It sounded wrong when I was saying it. So at any rate, but Cherie and I worked on a project together where we did go between the police report and the preliminary testimony, trial testimony, and in some cases deposition testimony, and we compared. We picked out the lies and inconsistencies, and I don't know, maybe at some point that's something that we can do here on the channel, or maybe for members only, show that those projects that we were working on. I'll have to talk with Cherie about that. But at any rate, try to listen to the testimony part of this video next week before, if you have time, before we do the live stream of the trial testimony, because you're going to be able, and even watch the one that we did last week with the police report. Also, I didn't know I had this, but I did find the recorded interview between Detective Davis and Kala Lyles. I'll post that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. I might just post it, upload it, and let people just listen to it. But Brian Bates has that also on his podcast in the Kala Lyles episodes. But I have the interview that also. So between the interview with the detectives and the police report that Davis wrote up, and the preliminary trial, and then Kim Davis's testimony later, these lies and inconsistencies are glaring in your face. And I just want you guys to be, yeah, KB, I know. Sometimes I'm kind of like Richard that way. My mind and words don't always match up. Anyway, I'll get back to
for
the.
Cherie real quick before we go back, because I'm not a lawyer and that's not a part or side of the courtroom that I know. Isn't there some limitation between a preliminary and the actual trial that allows the prosecutor to lead and not necessarily disclose all the facts? They're just trying to get enough information before the judge to take it to trial, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, you're right. I don't do criminal law, but from doing all this, I did a little bit of it. But anyways, you're right. Yeah, that's usually just enough to convince the judge to let it go forward, and then all the details come in later. But they shouldn't change dramatically like they do here.
Well, no, they shouldn't. But
I know.
I'm trying to be fair to Giger, kind of, that the difference between a preliminary and a trial is you don't, as a DA, disclose everything. You disclose at the trial.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like a teaser. The preliminary is like a teaser. Give some of the worst information as your evidence to get the judge to, hold it over for trial. Okay.
And move it closer to you.
Kala Lyles.
That's good. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Giger, you may inquire.
Miss Lyles, if I can, I would like.
Oops, hold on. Somehow I started over. Let me see if I can figure out where we were. Sorry, guys. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Okay, we'll start back here with the probation officer. Sorry, guys.
He would be lying. Is that what you're telling this court?
It would be a misunderstanding, but most likely, yeah.
Okay. In any event, if all the reports reflect that this isn't reported to the Oklahoma City Police Department until mid-September of 2014, would that be accurate?
Say that again?
If all the reports and all the information that I have received shows that your reporting of this incident with Officer Holtzclaw did not happen until mid-September of 2014, would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, because you had missed your August meeting with your probation officer?
No, it wasn't that. It was just that's when I started reading up on the news behind it.
You were reading in the news that Officer Holtzclaw was in trouble, correct?
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Was that?
Yes.
That he was accused of doing these inappropriate things with people over there on that side of town where you're from, correct?
Yes.
And so your probation officer, when you came in to see him, said, "Why have you missed your meeting? What has been going on with you," correct?
He wasn't saying it like that, but I didn't know who else to turn to for that searches.
Well, you understand that one of the conditions of your probation is if you don't go to see him and report to him, you're going to go to the penitentiary.
I know that, and I seen my PO.
Okay, but you had missed the previous month, correct?
Okay, I went to go see him that last month, but what the times I have not went to go see him, it was behind because my boyfriend had a heart attack.
Let me ask you if this sounds like a correct statement from your probation officer. He wanted to know why you had missed your last meeting because, again, you can be violated and go to prison. And you told him you had been going through a lot. You told him your boyfriend had 2 heart attacks and you had been raped by an Oklahoma City police officer, correct?
He was wondering why I didn't go do my classes.
Okay, the first time you disclosed this alleged event between you and Officer Holtzclaw was in September of 2014 after it had all been all over the news, correct?
That's when I had told him about it.
After you had seen it on the news, correct? Correct?
Yes.
And after you had missed your mandatory meeting with your probation officer?
No, I've been going to see my PO, I already said. Only reason why he was wondering why I have not went to go take my classes. That was the reason why he was wondering why I did not. Haven't been going to see my classes. That's the only thing. I've been going to see my PO every month.
Okay. Is your PO Jack Bowling?
Yes, he is.
So if he would testify that you missed your...
Yes.
Just a minute. Let me finish my question. I'll let you finish your answer. If he would testify that you missed your mandatory meeting with him on August of 2014, he would be telling an untrue story.
I believe asked and answered, Judge.
Sustained.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Just 1 or 2 things, Judge, if I may please. Miss Lyles, Mr. Adams just asked you about that you saw this one on the news, this story.
Yeah.
And then after you saw it on the news is when you told your probation officer. Did seeing it on the news have anything to do with you telling him?
Yes, because
Tell me why seeing it on the news factored into you deciding to go ahead and tell.
it was something that had been said, and I needed to get that off my chest, and I can feel a lot better.
Okay. Did it give you courage that other people were talking about it?
Judge, I object as relevance and leading.
That will be sustained.
Do you feel better now that you told it?
Yes.
Judge, again, object as leading.
That's overruled. Witness may answer.
What was your answer?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, I want to ask one other thing just so that I'm clear. Do you remember a moment ago when you were telling me about how you lifted up your shirt and your pants? Did he touch you during that time, or did you just expose yourself during that time?
He just told me to raise myself up.
He didn't touch you at that time. He touched you after that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all, Judge.
Recross.
I don't have anything further, Your Honor.
Miss Lyles, that's all the questions we have, ma'am. You can push the microphone aside and step down. You are free to leave.
Thank you.
Counsel, let's take about 7 minutes and stretch our legs for a bit.
That will be fine, Judge. I'm going to ask for an amendment based on that, but I can do it when we come back.
Well, why don't we go ahead and do that now, then we'll take a break if that's okay with defense, okay?
Judge, specifically, I'm going to direct your attention to count 19.
Yes, sir. Got it marked.
All right. Your Honor.
I just want to say, and I'll talk about this after the video's over a little bit more depth, but Giger does this several times during the preliminary trials or hearings. The witness will testify as to something different than what they said in the police report. And so Giger will at the end, like now, ask to amend a count or a charge. And this might initially sound like this is a good thing for Daniel, and I guess it is, in a sense, but really it's not. Just try to just pay attention to what Giger is saying here. He's taking away. Well, we'll talk about it when it's done. I'm sorry. Just try to pay attention to it.
Honor, currently, that count is pled as a sexual battery in that it is alleged that Kala Lyles would state that the defendant touched her breasts. I would ask to amend that from the crime of sexual battery to the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Essentially, it would be pled exactly as count 18 is pled, except for the fact that in count 19, I would ask for the crime and the separate act of having her expose her bare vagina to him for his viewing. Again, in violation of Title 1021, and I believe specifically it's sub paragraph A2, and I believe that would conform with her testimony.
That amendment is responsive to the evidence and will be allowed subject to the defendant's demur.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all.
Any further matters that we need to take up before we take a short recess?
No, sir.
Okay. That's the part, the pictures with Daniel at the end. I need to humanize Daniel because it makes me emotional just looking at pictures of him, because this trial demonized an innocent man and made him into one of the worst criminals possible, short of being a murderer, in my opinion. And especially for those who are newer to the case, I feel a sense of duty for Daniel to humanize him. Um, and I don't know if that does it, if that's helpful or not. It's helpful to me, if nothing else. And I mean, I have a lot more pictures, that I could do, but or share. I just what they did to Daniel, what they're still doing to Daniel, is just so criminally corrupt that it breaks me at times. And he's not the person that you know that he's been made out to be at all.
No, it's not.
Yeah, just, and I would imagine that, because I do have a relationship with Daniel, in that we communicate regularly. By the way, I just got a phone call from Daniel this week, and he wants me again to say he just feels so inadequate saying thank you for supporting him, and trusting and believing in his innocence. He feels so inadequate, but that's all he can do right now, is just give his gratitude and his thanks and his heartfelt love to everyone, to all of you here today, right now, and to everyone who pays attention to any other live streams that we do on his behalf. But
Next time you talk to him, make sure you tell him I said he is not the inadequate one. He's the one in that damn cell.
yeah,
He's the one experiencing the worst part of this. Inadequate? No. He's one of the strongest individuals I know. He could have given up, and he didn't.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. I just had to do it. It's just the best way I can, think to end all of these trial transcripts readings that we do, because everything that you're seeing and hearing prior to the ending is just foul and vile and disgusting accusations against him, and I can't take it. So, no, he doesn't look at all like a short black guy. And TJ, more so than other people possibly in this chat, about this story that Kala Lyles tells, and it's going to get even more in depth in the trial. But what other accuser this sounds almost exactly like, right? I mean, uh, we're still trying to figure out how this accusation, specific accusations, came from Kala Lyles. There's something there that Cherie and I haven't been able to figure out yet, but the some of the exact same words, for instance, when she said, when I was showing you the picture, that he hopped the curb. Now, that's the exact same words that Sherry Ellis used in her accusation. The exact same locations that Sherry Ellis used in her accusations. Now, those who believe Daniel is guilty would say, well, yeah, because that's what he was doing with, he did the same thing. That's his pattern. That's his MO. No, that is not at all a pattern or an MO. And at some point, and I think we might have covered it more deeply in the Sherry Ellis episodes, but there's something nefarious with the entire fucking case. Let me just say that. But between Kala Lyles and Sherry Ellis, something very, very nefarious occurred with those two stories. Haven't figured it out yet how it happened, but we will. Am I right, Cherie, TJ?
Yep.
Yeah, just and let's see, RP. I missed that. Let me get back up there. Yes,
This
that
case
was.
was specifically put together to get him.
Yeah.
They needed a scapegoat because of what was going on at the time. And they chose him.
Right. Yep, exactly. They this case is entirely reverse engineered in how they crafted or formed or created. Cherie has, I think, used better words. Each one of these accusations against him from each one of these accusers. And on the surface, it all looks all very on the up and up, and like everything was done properly. It wasn't, and that's why these transcripts are so important for us to share with the public, because nobody else is doing that. This trial was not televised, and so unless you sat in the courtroom every day, you didn't get to know all of the details of it. So yes, that was him hugging Doc. That was his girlfriend at the time the picture was taken. That was her dog, and their dog. I guess they were living together pretty much. And so that was their dog. And he's told me many times, actually, in past conversations, how much he misses. I can't remember what the dog's name was now, but how much he misses the doggy. He's a human, and he's a decent man. And right now he's being institutionalized. I mean, it can't be helped. Yeah, me too. That's why I refuse to believe any accusation from any female against any man when it comes to these kinds of accusations. I just can't accept it and believe it because of Me Too, hashtag Me Too. Sorry. And of course, going back to Amber Heard, I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. I'm sympathetic to the claim, but I can't just believe it because you said it because you're a woman.
Well,
I,
what's
I, I,
sad about that is the women who absolutely are victims, and now their story is questioned because of all the fame seekers, for want of another word, that have jumped on board and gone, oh, me too, me too, me too. It takes away from actual victims. And that's any criminal case,
right.
to be
Any
honest.
crime. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Welcome, RP Games. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I really, really appreciate it. And we're happy to have you on board and happy to have you in our chats whenever you're able to make it. TJ says, I watch OKC live channel and they think he got railroaded too. Oh, interesting. Oh, I'm curious about that. I don't know about that channel, but I would like to. And it's people. I'm not afraid of it. Even if I were seeing these people personally face to face, I would not be afraid of it. But people are afraid to say, yeah, I think there are not a lot of people who, especially if you live in Oklahoma City, who have the courage to say that because they know, the kind of backlash that they'll get, especially if they're, in any kind of public broadcast or anything. So, yeah, I'd like to, TJ, you have a wrench. If you have a link for that, I'd love to have you share it because I've not heard about that.
I'm getting it
Um,
for the private chat
oh,
right now.
okay, awesome. Thank you. So, um, but this entire case was reverse engineered. Like I've said before, once they discovered there was DNA on his pants, which was, we think 6 to 8 weeks after he was put on administrative leave after the Janie Liggins accusation, they didn't need to continue looking for other quote unquote victims because all they had to do was Janie Liggins occurred a little after 2 a.m. on June 18th. Kala Lyles incident stop was 20 minutes before he stopped Janie Liggins, despite her telling, in testimony and stuff that it was a 20 or 30-minute long ordeal and that it was pretty early. It wasn't that late at night. No, it was I think at 1:29 or something that it began. The stop, the actual stop that did occur, began, and there's proof in his records that it ended at less than 10 minutes, maybe a little over 10 minutes after he initially stopped her. So all they had to do was, once they realized there was DNA, instead of going through and finding all of these women on Lieutenant Musney's list that fucking exists, and helping them create stories, they could have very easily gone back. Okay, this happened to Janie Liggins a little after 2 a.m. on the 18th of June. Kala Lyles was the last person that he stopped and had record of stopping on June 18th. And before that, the female that he stopped and searched was Adara Gardner, who was the only person under the age of 18 who he had contact with. He had contact with her twice that same day, for reasons that not that what they want you to think, which sounds nefarious, but for valid reasons why he had contact with her twice in that same day. And then they could have stopped. They could have stopped at that point. But now they were on a roll. They were on a fucking mission to make him the most horrific serial rapist in Oklahoma City at that point. But they didn't stop. They kept going. They kept helping. They kept helping to create, fabricate, craft, reverse engineer stories from the women on the list that Musney gave to them, which is disgusting to me. But anyway, I digress again. Um, so anyway, just I needed to put those pictures in there, and I'll try to do that each time so that people who do watch this who don't know the case or think they know the case but aren't sure or whatever, they can see Daniel as a human and not as this monster that the state of Oklahoma turned him into. Yes, Rick, about being strong, and Jennifer, tell him. I absolutely will. I will definitely give him that message. But it's impossible to be in prison and not become institutionalized to a degree. Not because Daniel hasn't had any problems while he's been in prison, as far as fights, and he hasn't had write-ups that would but he does have to protect himself.
Well, yeah, he's a cop.
A cop accused of heinous crimes. Yes.
Do you think that the Gen Pop guys are not going to go after him? Are you kidding me? Of course he has to defend himself.
100%, K-Bean. This is 100% the fact in this. And yes, after hearing all this stuff on the news, and she even admits it freely. Yeah, I heard this all on the news, and I just had to say something. Bullshit. You heard this on the news. Like K Bean said, she needed a way to justify why she hadn't been seeing her PO, and this was a good excuse for her. We're going to have to break it down somehow during the testimony next week that we show. We may be having to do these pauses like we've done today with this episode, but because the lies and inconsistencies that she's going to tell at trial about her visits to her PO and all that, and the dates and all those things don't add up. And I won't get into it now because it'll just, send me off the rails again. But we'll definitely talk about it during the trial testimony next week. And yes, it is super, super dangerous for a cop in prison. For that reason, he's being protected, if you can say that, by the corrections, I guess, by the corrections department.
I would hope there's some correction officers that have looked at his case and gone, yeah, this is bullshit.
I think there is a lot that I can't really say, but Daniel has said that there are individuals in corrections who feel like he was screwed over. So
yeah, you can't say it. I can. I didn't sign an NDA.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. It's Shawshank effect. Only excuse you get away with here for not reporting to a PO is being in a hospital, or you are a primary caretaker of terminally ill patient, or you're turned into a key witness for a made up trial case. And I think I'm going to be showing, might not be until the Kim Davis testimony, which will be in 2 weeks, but I'll be showing you some public information that should at least have you questioning whether or not Kala Lyles was using my air quotes, taken care of as a accuser in this case.
Oh, she
Um,
was. There's
yeah,
no question she was. Look, one of the things people have to understand, and I even beyond Daniel, and Sheree, tell me if I'm wrong. A preliminary hearing is like a writer doing an outline of the book they intend to write. The trial is the actual book.
Yeah, that's right. They don't want to give away their whole, strategy and plan, because they hoping to win at trial, so they don't want to give away all their secrets, just enough to get the judge to let it go ahead.
yes. Yes. TJ mentions just watch the doc's DNA presentation. It proves it's bullshit. Speaking of Dr. Silkman, I'm pretty sure we put that in the chat, the link to that in the chat last week. Also, I do have a playlist of Dr. Silkman's, talk conversations and stuff about Daniel's case. So I think there was only 4 videos, but yeah.
There are so many problems with that DNA evidence.
Yeah.
It's just the way she presented it, the crime scene tech presented it, is in itself criminal.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely check out Dr. Silkman's videos that we have in the playlist. I wanted to get back here. I don't know if RP Game says that he's lurking right now, but I don't know. I hope you're feeling better and get that taken care of. That's terrible. But the question, isn't the radio record in conflict with the missed PO meeting, though? I don't know what radio record you're talking about.
It's not a radio record, if I remember right. It's a phone call from the probation officer into the police department, and I actually can't remember if that was on a recorded line or not.
From Jack Bowling to Kim Davis.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't, that's not recorded, but, Jack Bowling will testify, I believe, at the trial, if I'm not mistaken. And so we'll definitely hear what he has to say. Now, if Jack Bowling doesn't testify, because I can't remember, like I said, we didn't have access to all the witness testimony. So I can't remember if he did or not. If Jack Bowling didn't testify, that's too bad. And that should tell you, no, we don't dare call him because he's going to, refute what Kala Lyles is claiming.
Oh, you read the police report and it's refuted. When you hear the testimony from her next week, the actual initial police report refutes what she said.
Right. Yeah. So you
wouldn't want to call him.
Hell no. But the defense should.
Yes,
right?
They should have. You are absolutely right. Yes, they should have.
But spoiler alert, they didn't.
I mean, Adams tried the preliminary hearing, and he kind of tries in the trial, but
not enough. There's not enough.
No, not anywhere near enough. He should have called her PO as a witness.
Yep. Absolutely. And the thing that's hard about this, when you think about in context, Adams doesn't call Jack Bowling the PO. He doesn't call him as a witness. But when would he call him as a witness? Think about it, because they don't get their case in chief until after the state rests, right? By the time they get to present their case in chief, the defense, Kala Lyles' case is long in the past. So would they, what is it, can they call Jack Bowling or any witness for that matter, for any of the accusers, when they get their case in chief? Well,
It's my understanding you can call a witness for the defense whenever you want, as long as you list them as a witness or call them as a rebuttal witness. I'm
right.
not sure how that varies from state to state. Sometimes you learn something during the prosecution's case that you can call a witness you don't have listed as a rebuttal witness. Shree's actually in a better position to answer that than I am.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sheree.
I was looking up something, so I'm not sure I understood the question. Is it that whether after the prosecution presents all of their case and it's the defense's turn, can they call witness that would have been a witness for the prosecution normally? Or is that what you mean? Or
Well, my point is that, Jack Bowling should have called during during Kala Lyles' case presentation. This is just one reason why having all of these cases tried in one trial was bullshit. Because Scott Adams should have called Jack Bowling. If the state doesn't call him, I can't wait to get into the trial timeline, and find out if they did call him or not. But if they did, we'll definitely be reading that for you. But to wait until, if the state doesn't call Jack Bowling, for Scott Adams to wait until his case in chief to call to rebut, what the state claims during Kayla's case, I'm not saying it's impossible or it's useless or anything like that, because anything is helpful, but it should have been done. If it was going to be done, it should be done during Kayla's particular case presentation. I guess my point is it doesn't seem like it's very common to see the defense call a witness before they have their case in chief. It's hard to explain what I mean, but anyway.
well, yeah, if they, ideally you should have your witness list, but ready beforehand, But especially if the prosecution springs something, unexpected on them, on the defense, that's should be a good reason to ask the court to subpoena them for a witness for them, even though it might be a hostile witness, but
Right. Yeah. I don't
TJ,
think Jack
to
Bowling
answer
would have
your
been.
question, the incident that caused BLM to rise happened before Kim Davis accused Daniel. The investigation and the accusal happened after. That's what I meant earlier by they needed a scapegoat and they chose him.
Right. And that happened because BLM became involved. There's no proof of this, but there's inference, which I think we're allowed to use. There's inference that Janie Liggins' daughter, Marissa Liggins, she was involved with the local BLM organization at that time, already involved with them
Yes.
before this accusation. I believe very strongly that Marissa Liggins, Janie Liggins' daughter, latched onto this and said, we can turn this into a BLM issue. I believe that's how BLM became involved, was because of Marissa Liggins. So basically, right at the very beginning with Janie Liggins' accusation against, my door's not closed. You can probably hear my son-in-law screaming at this video game.
Sounds like he might be in pain.
I know. I'm going to go shut the door.
Apparently, he's not winning at the moment.
Boy.
And TJ, beyond Daniel's case, if you look at every major city in the United States back at that point in time, prosecutors in various places were finding a reason for BLM to be involved. Now, let me make this very clear. I don't care whether you're black, white, American Indian, Oriental, some combination of thereof. If you are the victim of a actual crime, you deserve to be defended and the perpetrator prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for the crime they committed against you. Using it as a reason to make money, which is what a lot of the people in movements over the years have done, is totally unacceptable. If you actually want to defend somebody that's a victim, more power to you, I'll help you. That's what Rhonda does with Daniel. If you want to fundraise and use it for your own endowment, I got a problem with it.
I think we all do. I hope we all do. Yeah. I'm really sorry.
would
I
hope
just,
so. I mean, it's just being a human being. Somebody
right.
gets hurt, you want to defend them.
Yeah, you want to help them. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I just now saw this. I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner. I hope Jennifer's still with us. Jennifer, thank you. Thank you for your support, for your willingness to help. Read read transcripts for a case you knew nothing about, but you jumped in and are willing to help read. And so we thank you for everything you're doing for Daniel as well. And thank you for the very generous donation.
Yeah, guys, a lot of the voices you hear on these transcripts are people you don't see on the screen. Richard, Jennifer, Scott, Davey. I mean, they got their own channels and you can see them there, but they're doing these readings just because they believe and want to help out. And it means a ton.
Yeah, it does. It really does. We couldn't appreciate all of the faceless, I guess is the best way to say it, voices enough. I mean, 3 months ago, it was pretty much 4 months ago, it was pretty much just Cherie and I trying to figure out, we knew we could do it, but, we wanted to bring as much life to this trial as we could, and different voices, I think, are the best way to do that. Do we kind of horse around and have some fun? We do that a lot. Some of it you'll hear in the, I won't edit it out. A lot of it I will edit out, but like Rick said, these are all people who just wanted to help me and Cherie help Daniel. And, they started giving what time they could to help us do that. Hopefully you guys are finding it beneficial to have different voices, to have inflection, to have character, to hear emphasis on certain things. Jennifer was great reading this Kala Lyles part with attitude and, expression that she did. Richard too, and
Well,
well, everybody.
especially when Mr. Adams was questioning her.
Yeah,
Witnesses for the prosecution tend to carry more of an attitude with the defense than they do the prosecution.
yep. And just for Jennifer's knowledge, I'm hoping that she'll be willing to read the parts for Shardarian Hill coming up, and definitely Adara Gardner, because little Miss Adara Gardner, when she gets in the courtroom, is a snarky, snappy, hateful, disrespectful little witness with Scott
She's
Adams.
a bitch.
That
Just
one,
go ahead and say it. She's a bitch.
I'm not saying it, but you are welcome to say it. I won't necessarily right now, but I'm pretty sure everybody will be feeling that when we get to Adara Gardner's testimony, and to have Jennifer, bringing her great acting skills to that is going to be a lot of fun. So yes, we do have fun. It's not that we are not taking the case seriously, because we would not be doing any of this if we weren't taking this 100% seriously. I've mentioned it before. I think Rick said it. I know Sharif agrees. Probably many people who've been involved agree, in any trial for that matter, that does anything like this. Just like cops, first responders, doctors, nurses, attorneys for that matter, there is a you have to have a level of what others might deem to be inappropriate.
Dark humor.
You have to dark humor.
Dark
We have
humor
to.
is the best description of it. Yeah.
Yeah, dark humor, and we do bring that when we're reading and recording. We bring it big. Because it's otherwise it's hard to get through some of this stuff. And I'm telling you, Kala Lyles was one of the hardest to get through. Not the hardest, but definitely one of the hardest, because I would say probably Tabitha Barnes was my worst one to try to cover. She was, go back and listen to those episodes. The most egregious stuff to try to get through. So we make fun of the wit of these. I'm just going to say it. We make fun of things that the accusers say and say they did and things like that, because it's a way to release some of the heaviness, I guess, is the best way to describe how I feel. It's a way to release some of that heaviness. I have to laugh at them. I have to make fun of them.
And it's on point, because you go over the entirety of their testimony, and so many things change that you're like, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's not anywhere near what you said 3 months ago.
Yeah.
It's insane. And you'll see it next week, guys, with this witness.
Yeah.
Wait until you hear her trial testimony. Everything you heard today, for the most part, changes. It becomes something different.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, great to see you. Thank you so much for checking in and dropping a like for us. We appreciate it. All support is needed and appreciated. Thank you so much. Okay. There's, without getting into what's going to come in next week's episode, there's, that's pretty much, like has been mentioned, this is kind of like a teaser episode, I guess, a preliminary, which is exactly what it is. Like Cherie said, just enough evidence to convince the judge to hold this case over for trial. And that's what all the preliminary cases are. The reason I'm bringing you the police reports and the interviews with the detectives and accusers and preliminary, because I think it proves, once you get to the trial testimonies, it proves that there was so much fuckery going on in this entire case. So, it's important to just, to make sure that you're hearing all of the context so that you can make your own, uh, uh, you know, uh, informed decision on whether you believe Daniel is innocent or not. So, uh, RP Games says it's the gallows humor. Soldiers, especially combat vets, get accused of it all the time. Yeah, that's too bad. If they don't know, they don't know. You know what I mean? If you don't know, you don't know. If you've never been a part of it, you just don't know.
No,
Rick
you don't.
D with
I have been. I've been in
Rick,
combat.
thank you so much for 5 more gifted memberships.
Fronts. Oh yeah, you're welcome, kiddo.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I've
we
been in
appreciate
combat
that.
on multiple fronts, and you don't know. You just
Right.
don't know.
Yep. Agreed. And I haven't been a part of anything like that, of any kind of first responder or public servant or anything like that. Military. I haven't been a part of anything like that. The only experience I have, honestly, is, well, life experience, which, there's some of that can be, talked about, but the only experience I have is deep diving and doing deep, heartfelt research particularly into Daniel's case. And, that's the only experience I have. And and Cherie, even, we get to those points where we're like, oh my God, it's just too much. And, you just have to laugh at some stuff, make fun of some stuff, uh, just to want to continue doing it. So, all right. Rick, again, another 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Jennifer with the $5 donation. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for everyone who's been supportive and contributed in any way. Just being in the chat is helpful. It's appreciated. If you can't even stick around, but you stop by just to give a like or make a comment, that's appreciated. So, talking about Daniel's case to other people is appreciated. Jennifer's mom, I believe she said, and an aunt of hers, they believe that they're appalled by what they've just heard Jennifer reading so far. So, it's like I'll keep on saying, it's the awareness to the case that we're trying to do. Yes, we did a live stream about it. I think it was that day. I think the same day that the Supreme Court tossed the case, we did a live stream about it, TJ. If you want to check that out. So everyone here has been fabulous. I so much love and appreciate all the comments in the chat. That also really means a lot to me. Yes, we did. We did a live stream, TJ. I don't know if Rick or Cherie or somebody wants to drop the link.
It's very enlightening.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. Well, Kala Lyles is just one accuser in a trial of 14 accusers. So if this is the first one you're hearing about,
14 that actually got charged. There were how many that they determined were not valid? Like 37?
Well, yes. 13 were brought to trial. So he was charged 36 counts and was convicted on 18 of the 36 counts. And those counts and convictions go, to various of the different 13 accusers. So I will say, and I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but I will say that for obvious reasons, just in the preliminary, for obvious reasons, Daniel, and I think I mentioned this in the description for today's video, that Daniel was found not guilty on all of the charges for that Kala Lyles brought. That reminds me really quickly before I wanted to talk about what Galen Gigger did at the very end where he amended counts or charges. He amended. So during this preliminary testimony, Kala Lyles said, no, he didn't touch my breasts. He just made me show myself. Now, that's the exact same thing that Tabitha Barnes said. But she said during her deposition, she claimed all along from the beginning to the end of her case at the trial, she claimed that Daniel had touched her breast. Tabitha Barnes did. It wasn't until Tabitha Barnes' deposition that she admitted 5 times to the attorneys in the deposition. I made a video clip of this. I was given permission because it was going to be used for the media. But Tabitha Barnes said 5 times during her deposition that he didn't touch her. He did not touch her breasts. So now here we have Kala Lyles during the preliminary saying, no, he didn't touch me. He just made me show myself. That's exactly what Tabitha Barnes said. He just made me show myself. That's what she said during the deposition. Now, when Lyles said that during this preliminary testimony that, no, he didn't touch me, he just made me, Galen Gigger goes at the end to the judge, not in front of the jury, of course, that he needs to amend the charge of sexual battery, which was, the alleged touching of her breasts, because that's what she said to Kim Davis, and that's what Kim Davis put in the police report, that he had touched her breasts. And then she says at preliminary, no, he didn't touch me. He just made me show myself. So Galen Gigger does what seems like this noble thing of, amending that count. But he enhances, I guess you would say, count 18, which so like I said, it sounds like he did the right thing, which it was the right thing to amend it because, but instead of calling it sexual battery because he touched her, this is so mind-boggling to me. Tabitha Barnes did the same thing. Kala Lyles is doing it now. He made me show myself. He made me show him my breast. So that turns into a count of now Daniel gets charged with lewd exhibition. I have a hard time explaining what I'm trying to. Rick, I'm sure you and Sheree both know what I'm trying to say.
Basically, what Galen Gigger did was what is called an advertising bait and switch. He charged one crime, and then when the witness didn't corroborate it, he went, oh, I want to amend the indictment and change it from this to this because the witness's testimony doesn't support what I charged. And it's bullshit.
Yeah, I just think here's how I feel. Sheree could probably tell me if I'm, off track with this, but probably Rick could even tell me. I think that if a witness's testimony changes under oath, I don't think that it needs to be amended so that the person isn't charged with it. But I also think that it should, I don't know how it would work, but that should be, and I guess we'll see at the trial. I don't remember, even though we just read it yesterday, but that should be allowed to be used to impeach the person at some point in the trial. That, and I think Scott Adams did use
Right.
some of her. Go ahead, Sheree.
No, I was just agreeing, yeah, that it should, and I can't remember if he did or not, but he did. I think he at least did use some of the preliminary to try to impeach her with.
He tried and didn't go far enough.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got a witness who's saying one thing in the original interview that she has, or he has with a detective, and and then under oath it says something different than that, but then under oath again in a trial will say something again different again. So that's all. Yeah, it could be considered perjury, but it should be allowed to be used to impeach that person, that witness. I honestly am gonna not lie. There's not a lot of effective impeaching going on by defense with this case, with all these accusers. So,
I don't know Scott Adams' background. I've heard you say positive things about him, but I've got the feeling that he was in way over his head with this.
way over his head, which is why, and it's not that I'm saying positive thing. I mean, in Oklahoma City, he is known as one of the best criminal defense attorneys. So I'm not discounting that. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to any of his other work, but you're absolutely right. For this case, for Daniel's case, he was way over his head. And that's why I think he did. That's why I give him some grace at, doing a very ineffective defense, because there was just 13 accusers in one trial with one defense counsel, and a co-counsel who wasn't really helpful. That's too much. I mean,
Okay,
again, I'll go back to the YSL
may have been
trial.
a rock.
What's that?
I said, let's be fair, his co-counsel may as well have been a rock.
Yeah, really. It's true. It's true. What's
I don't think I've
unfortunate,
seen a single transcript where his co-counsel said anything.
there's one, at least one witness. I don't know if Cherie will remember. There's one witness who, Robert Gray did cross-examine one witness that I can recall. He does at some sidebars. He makes some comments, but other than that, Robert Gray really has no comments to no benefit to this. What would have been better is he wasn't an attorney, so he couldn't, but Brian Bates was the investigator for Daniel's case. And so that's why I always want you guys to pay attention to the podcast, the Brian Bates podcast, even though he hasn't completed it, but because he investigated it for the defense. But somehow, go ahead, Cherie.
I was just going to say he's in his last semester of law school now, so by the end of the year he could be an attorney.
Yeah.
And I hope he'll help with
Gonna make
Daniel's
a
case.
great attorney with this experience.
I
Yeah,
agree.
he will. 100%. More here. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. We really appreciate that. I know you probably don't know much about the case, but becoming a member and being willing to learn and listen to more is really, really helpful and beneficial. Thank you so much. That does help out. Thank you so much. More here. So
Elf, I think his attorney did do an appeal for ineffective. I may be confusing it with gossip. Did Daniel do an appeal for ineffective counsel?
Yes. Yep.
I thought he did. And the OCCA denied it.
Yes. Ineffective assistance of counsel, and some the other typical reasons for an appeal, of course. But yeah, his appeal was denied on all counts that Daniel asked. And now, for those who aren't aware, Daniel's case is in post conviction. His attorney is working for post conviction relief. This is a newer attorney, and he try to remember this is an attorney who came into Daniel's case for post-conviction relief, knowing nothing about this case, about his case. It's taking Cherie and I how many years now? Almost 5 years, 4 years. We'll just say 4 years to try to catch everybody up to date with what we know based on what information we have access to. And we still have not been able to get all of that information out. Imagine being an attorney trying to come in, 8, 9 years later. Daniel's been in prison since December, I think January, actually, 2016. He was convicted in December of 2015, basically going on 10 years now this year. So, so for an attorney to come in cold off the street, to represent him in post-conviction, it's going to take some time for us to, for them to, be able to even get close to presenting anything for post-conviction. So it's going to be a little more time still. I don't know the timeline exactly of when this new attorney began working on post-conviction, but it's been less than a year, less than a year's time, as far as I know.
I would think Cherie could speak to that. I mean, I know she doesn't do a lot of that, but going through law school, approximately what you learned, what's the time between conviction and filing post-conviction? Oh yeah, I imagine it's got to be quite a while. Look at Glossip. I mean, he's been appealing for almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it seems like Daniel's, they filed the notice of appeal right away, but the actual appeal, the brief with the arguments, I don't quote me, but I think it was in 2017, and they didn't get a decision. Seems like it was 2019. I'm not sure. I'll have to get the schedule or the sequence on that.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. So 2 years, 3 years post-conviction. Appeals take a ton of time in the U.S. They take a lot longer than they should.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other topic we could spend hours on talking about too, but I believe, I feel very strong. Oklahoma has a shitty history of bad prosecutions and bad convictions, and we know that. I talk about it ad nauseum. But
and they're finally getting bench slapped.
Yeah, they are. Bench slapped. Yeah.
US Supreme Court.
Yep, got bench slapped according to Kurt from Uncivil Law. Yeah. He isn't even.
When you're on the OCCA, you have family members on the pardons and on the pardons board, commutations board. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Right. Yeah. And Kurt from Uncivil Law, he doesn't even know anything about Daniel's case, if I'm not mistaken. If he does, I've never heard him mention it. Cherie or Rick or anybody who's familiar with Uncivil Law, Kurt, can you imagine the vein popping things he would say reading some of this shit. So yeah. Anyway,
His head would explode like an alien.
yeah, could be the end of Kurt. We don't want to do that to him, but I would love
It,
for Kurt to pay
his
attention
stream,
to
if
Daniel's
he
case.
read this, would end up being about a 4 or 5 hour rant.
Yeah, I agree.
It's insane.
Elf said Uncivil would go nuts. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, so would Robert. So would Danny. So would
Yeah, everyone that we know.
oh God, what's his name? The guy in Korea that just died not long ago.
Oh yeah. Gosh, why did his name just leave my mind? Somebody in the chat's going to remember.
I can't remember his name, but my God, he would have gone crazy about this case.
Yeah, I mean, all of the attorneys that we follow on YouTube channel that have YouTube channels, Joe, yeah, they would. All of these guys would, if they became at all interested in looking into this case, they would go crazy. They would. I know these men, and they would lose their minds. That's the problem, though. That is the exact problem. Not enough people know about Daniel's case. That's why we have to do our
that's
part.
always the
Help.
problem legally with these cases is trying to find somebody that will actually do it just because it should be done and not to make a retainer.
Yes.
That's my biggest
Absolutely.
problem with the legal profession in the US today is everybody is all about, oh, yeah, I'll represent you. Give me $15,000 and I'll do it.
Just up
No,
front.
I'm sorry.
Just up front.
That's not what the Constitution guarantees.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately,
I have
there's
no
not enough
problem
pro bono
paying
work.
a professional, but oh no, there's not. No. Most lawyers that do pro bono nowadays, and I'm sure Cherie's not like this, based on what she says she does. It's a stepping stone. Okay, I'll do pro bono for 4, 6, 8 months, and then I'll get in here and I'll make a ton of money.
Right. And to be fair, I'm not dogging on any defense attorneys at all. To be fair, to try to do pro bono work for Daniel's case would be like that could
It
end
would
a
not be
career.
cost effective. It would cost you a ton of money.
There's no way. Yeah, there's just no way that it could be done. Honestly, maybe some amount of pro bono work here or there or whatever, possibly. But yeah, it would be impossible to do pro bono work for.
As a PA, I do pro bono work. I'm with the National Health Service where I do telemedicine, and I lose about, depending on the year and how many I see, income-wise, I lose about 40,000 a year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I don't care about losing that. What I care about is they get taken care of.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. To do that for Daniel would be just because an attorney just doesn't need money and doesn't want money and it's just got time to just, give away, really. Because I didn't make this comment, even though it's my name. Cherie did. Way too effing long. Any time is too long when you're innocent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%. Yeah.
All right, you guys, this has been, I think, with the exception of probably the first hour where I was just off the rail talking about everything other than what we're here for. But I feel like the content regarding Daniel's case was very productive, very helpful, hopefully, to those of you who aren't familiar with the case. Just hopefully, just when you're catching these little snippets, this is a snippet, in my opinion, you think, oh my God, what happened? This is wrong. And that's what I've seen from some of you who are newer in the chat, who have not been involved, who don't know anything about the case. When you're hearing just one episode, you're going, wait, what? That's important. And like Jennifer with her mom and her aunt, it's making them say, wait a minute, I need to know more. And that's the goal. That's part of the goal here. Get you to just pay attention to just one episode at a time so that you can say, at least question whether what happened to Daniel was right, wrong, or otherwise. So, I appreciate that all of you, who from Robert's channel particularly, and Richard's, are taking an interest, and just by coming here and supporting and giving a thumbs up and making a donation or buying a membership, a channel membership, you're saying to me that's support of me and Cherie, trying to bring more awareness to the case. But sticking around for the long term, for what's to come, is even a bigger benefit. So I can't say enough thank yous to everyone. But I think this is a good place to end the conversation, because it's going to be an even longer conversation, I presume, next week.
Real quick
when we
before
hear
you do, everybody remember next weekend is the time change.
Oh, already?
Saturday
Holy
night
crap.
to Sunday. Set your clocks ahead so you're not missing us when we should be here.
Right. Exactly. Good point. Thank you, Rick. I was taking it all very personal, like, oh my God, I hate spring time change because I just despise. And Utah just lost a bill in the Senate. They passed in the House, but the Senate shut it down for not for discontinuing daylight savings time. But we do this every year. They talk about it every year. I think this year is the first time we've gotten as close as we did. But whatever. And I know it's blah, 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 the cost and the time and the blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Do it. Get rid of daylight savings time. So, but yeah, good reminder. Thank you for saying that, Rick. Maybe I'll make a community post about that too sometime during the week. So that people don't miss it. As a lot of times people don't get notifications. So that's a good reminder. Cherie, do you have any final comments? I know you have another podcast I think you need to get ready for, if I'm not mistaken.
No, well, we were supposed to, but Amy changed it till tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
No, it was interesting, very interesting going through this and being reminded of all the BS. Frustrating, but interesting and necessary. We've got to get the facts out there and combat the fiction.
Yeah, combat the fiction. I like that. New hashtag, combat the fiction.
Well, I had a very wise history teacher long ago, and it's been quoted by more than one person. History is written by the winners.
Oh,
Rarely is history actually what happened.
what happened? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sheila, thank you. You've been awfully quiet today. And that's okay. But I'm so glad that you're here. And I love your picture of your doggy. I want to hold him. I want to pet him. Okay. So I I think until we're going to come back next week with more disgusting content and graphic content warnings because it's bad. Like Jennifer said early on, WAP. And she says that same line at least 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, during the trial testimony when it isn't even necessarily related to a question that's been asked of her. So I don't know. She's just gross to me. So we're going to go ahead and shut this one down at this point, and I look forward to seeing everybody back here next week at 1 p.m. Central. And until then, peace out.